And just knowing what someone's and is, asking them about it, be genuinely interested in it. Every time someone's talking about their and, they're a fully activated human being. They are alive. They're on fire.
Welcome to Rise and Stride, where we empower you to take your next step in an ever-changing business landscape. Here's your host, Denise LeDuc Frimming, President and CEO of the California Society of CPAs.
Hello, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Rise and Stride, where we bring together diverse voices to explore leading topics to help you navigate the seemingly ever-changing business landscape. Today, we're excited to have with us John Garrett, a leadership and corporate culture keynote speaker who started out as a CPA. He's also author of the best-selling book, What's Your And?, which looks at the importance of people's ands, hobbies, talents, and quirks. I like that. And how revealing those make for deeper connections at the workplace. So, John, I am so excited to have this conversation with you. And for the listeners who don't see your background, it is really awesome because he's got the what's your and, a lot of ands, a little leprechaun. Pretty cool.
Excited to be a part of this, and thank you so much for inviting me to be on.
Oh, this is right in our wheelhouse. So we always appreciate how people show up and bring in their whole self. So this is going to be a fantastic conversation. So everybody get your pens or pencils or stylus handy so you can take notes. So before we dive in, John, maybe we always, want to find out how someone got to where they are. And so going from a CPA to a creative speaker, writer, author, tell us more of how you got to where you are. It's a fascinating journey.
Yeah, and I don't know how many episodes you want to take up of that story, but I'll try and do the quick version. I graduated from the University of Notre Dame, went to PricewaterhouseCoopers. I was in a rotation program, mostly internal audit, merger acquisition type of work. Went to work on the largest financial services client that PwC had at the time, First Star Bank up in Milwaukee. And it was internal audit there. And then picked up a little bit of a hobby of doing stand-up comedy at night just for fun. It was a creative outlet, used the other side of my brain. It was kind of a puzzle. I enjoyed it, and making people laugh. There's nothing better than that. And got good. So at some point, I left public to go to industry. It gave me a little more flexibility to do more of my of stand-up comedy. I was a CPA and a comedian. And then just made the leap in May of 2005 was when I left corporate altogether. So it's been 20 years. I have a gap in my resume, someone might notice, but I'm beyond unemployable now, like basically. But it's been really, really fantastic to just go from, CPA to someone that's impacting so many professionals, even outside of the CPA profession, to realize that you're a human being that does accounting work. You're not a CPA, you're a human. It's bigger and badder and more dimensional than just CPA.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a job title, you're a human. And so that's really the journey. It was a roller coaster throughout. It's certainly not as short and streamlined as I made it, but that's really the high points. So
maybe you could tell us how it was. I'm just curious, your first time you took stage,
yeah.
right? And you end up coming, because we're all, we always say lean into being uncomfortable. That would be, and I try to do that, but that's the most uncomfortable for me to get up there and try to make people laugh. It would be hard.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It was February 1st, 2000. It was at the Funny Bone in St. Louis. I'll never forget. So we had a PwC training out in Pasadena, out in Los Angeles area. And Whose Line Is It Anyway? It was a big show at the time. And so a group of us would rent a car and drive down on Thursday night. Whose Line would come to the Improv after they would tape in studio, and they would come to the Improv in Hollywood and do an uncensored 45 minutes in the middle of like a 3-hour stand-up show. And so we would go, and you're hanging out. And I mean, the first night, like Adam Sandler came in at the end to work out some stuff. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who was Elaine in Seinfeld, was there. Of course, Drew Carey. And after you're hanging out at the bar and you're talking Cleveland sports with Drew Carey, and it's like, this is crazy. Like, this is nuts. But some of the comedians were absolutely hilarious, and some were well, I could be as not funny as that guy, and this is LA. And so, a couple of the other people that were in the car were like, John, you should think about doing this. And on the outside, I was like, really? And inside, I was like, heck yeah, I should. Are you kidding? And so, yeah, a couple of weeks later, we were back home in St. Louis, and I went to the Funny Bone to watch the open mic just to make sure of what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I'm not going to be the worst one that's ever done comedy. Like, that's for sure. So let's just give it a go. And the night before I went back to my parents' house, I had a legal pad of paper that I had taken out of the supply closet. I'm allowed to share that now. The statute of limitations is passed, I think. But full of ideas. And in my parents' defense, it was just joke ideas. It wasn't the full joke. But I went through this full legal pad of ideas. I thought they were all killer. And two responses. At one, my dad said, "We didn't raise you that way." And then in another one, my mom says, "You can't say that." And then the rest of it, crickets. Absolutely no response whatsoever. And the next night is this open mic. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I had to drive over to my buddy's house. Like, I had to go through it with him just to be like, okay, am I crazy? Like, what? And then the next day, worked all day and then went down to the Funny Bone after. And my parents came, a couple of friends were there and everything. It was really great. My parents videotaped it. We didn't know to bring a tripod because we're amateurs. My parents laughed harder than anyone else in the room.
Really?
And just 24 hours before that, nothing. And like, so the video camera is just shaking the whole time of my parents laughing because they're holding the video camera. And yeah, but I mean, it's a blur. It's crazy, and it just comes. The more you do it, the more confident you get. And now I've been on stage over 2,400 times. So like, I don't. It's a game of chicken that I don't blink anymore. So it was just a fun creative outlet and something that there was a part of me that needed to do that, and I needed to feed that. That piece of my soul that needed that. And why are we here? Type of a thing. And there's other things that people have, those hobbies and those passions, those interests that have nothing to do with your job, that matter so much more than we think.
And they bring something to your job, right? That is,
Oh yeah.
and makes you successful. And believe it or not, I know of another CPA who, when we were at a meeting, he did some improv. So he's part of I think his group is called Breadsticks, or I don't know, something like that.
Nice.
But there's
Yeah.
a number of CPAs who I did improv a couple times, but not
Yeah.
part of a group of 4, like not on stage. But there is an element of that I think is important to just to try and see.
Well,
how
yeah. Well, I mean, no matter what someone's and is, and I call it an and because it's not an or. I wasn't a CPA or a comedian. I mean, you can't separate one from the other. It's still me. In the same way that when you look at a dice, just because the 6 is up doesn't mean that the 3, 4, 5, 2, 1 are gone. No, they're still on the dice. They're just not facing up. In the same way that, when you're at work, your best self might be the CPA side, but that doesn't mean that the other sides of you are gone. For so many of us, we allow these other sides to go dormant and then extinct. And then you're about to retire. And I've had so many people pull me aside and say, I don't know what I'm going to go do. And that's alarming because you're a fully functioning adult. You've got a lot of money, you've got time, and you don't know what you're going to do when you get out of bed. Like, that's crazy. But also too, from interviewing hundreds of people on the podcast, also called What's Your And, because I'm too dumb to remember a second name, is just, these hobbies and passions create a human to human connection, like a genuine relationship, both internally and externally with clients. And it's your differentiator. I mean, everyone that's a CPA on paper looks the same. But if you have, that and your hobbies and passions and interests and personality and who you are as a human being, that's only you. But if you never let the human out from behind the job title, then forget about it. I mean, you're completely replaceable. You're completely forgettable, and it doesn't matter. But these ands provide expertise that people have had. Like Paul Meisner is a CPA in Australia, and he loves to go curling. And his communication skills are significantly better because you have about 12 seconds as the stone goes down the ice to bark to the sweepers. And so he's a better communicator now because of his curling. Mark Winburn is an amazing singer out of Houston, Texas, does a lot of IT control audits. And he said that singing to him is breathing and happy. Like, how rich is that? And right away I said, well, what about IT control audits? He was like, yeah, not so much. Like, I like doing them and I like the people I do them with, but breathing in happy. Like, man, I mean, are you breathing in happy? Are you making sure the people around you are breathing in happy? I mean, it's so cool to see. And he would invite coworkers to come watch him sing and all this stuff. So sometimes it's a skill set, sometimes it's a relatability thing, but it's always good.
Mm-hmm.
It's always good, provided it's legal and not super taboo. Like, I mean, don't lead with that one, maybe type of thing. But yeah, but it always makes you better at your job.
Oh, I think so too. And you show up differently. You just show up differently.
Yeah.
I just to tag into, because I know for your mission, you're looking at how do you create thriving workplaces? And so, talk to us a little bit about, what you saw out there that was concerning to you and why this became something that is so integral to who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, really the movement of What's Your End, it's our collective message. It's not my message, it's all of our message. Like, and I guess I saw just a lot of surface level connection, a lot of two-dimensional work related only. It's not even connection, really. It's just, a bunch of people who happen to work around each other, banging into each other, and then work happens, and then we go home, and who cares? But what happens is, yeah, like, you're completely forgettable. I mean, that's wild to me that you work so many hours and you work so hard and you're good at your job to be just forgettable. I mean, that's crazy. Like, I mean, the way this all started and the seed that planted it was, I was speaking at a conference, a meeting planner comes up, says, "Hey, do you know this guy named Mark Baumgartner?" And I'm like, that's a pretty unique name, and I have never heard that one before. And she said, "Well, he knows you. He saw all the speakers and said, I know John Garrett. That's the guy who did Comedy at Night." So I go out on stage, I deliver the 50-minute keynote, and I get done, and I'm like, "Who is this Rain Man? Like, why do you remember me? Like, do I owe you $50?"
You weren't forgettable, that's for sure.
Well, but that's why is he remembered that I did Comedy at Night. And we were not connected on LinkedIn. He was in my first PwC office in the tax department. We did not work together. I never met him. And yet he remembered me 12 years later. I mean, that's huge. I mean, who's going to remember you 12 years from today? And it's not the work. I promise you it's not. It's the combination of who you are and what you do. And the CPA profession has been just trying to be what it thinks it's supposed to be for so long that what you do becomes who you are, and that's not true. You're a human being that does accounting work, and just drive that home. And like, my big message is just value the worker as much as you value the work. And the CPA profession values the work so much that there's a dollar amount on every hour of billable work that you do. That's how much we value the work. But we don't really value the worker. And that starts with valuing it yourself. Value yourself, and then start to value the people around you. And, oh, this person likes mountain climbing. They should be on this client because that client makes carabiners. Or this person, loves this and they should be on that kind of a project. Or this person's the lead singer of a cover band. They should give presentations. Like, these kind of things that tap into the expertise and the ands of the people around us. And then all of a sudden, attracting and retaining talent isn't a problem. All of a sudden, the pipeline issue isn't a problem because we show the stories of the humans that do accounting instead of, talking about, all the clients that we helped and all the money that we made. And no one cares about that. We care about the human beings that are doing the work. Like, we're cool people. Stop hiding that.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many cool. I know when we connected, your message resonated with me because we did, and we have a campaign, CPA and. So
Yeah.
we found out from so many of our CPAs, like one does motocross biking and someone else is a master chef and someone else is a race car driver. And it's just fascinating. And to your point, mean, wouldn't it be cool if you could be on clients or the work that really helps empower that kind of element inside you, or that, that burning desire inside you?
Yeah, or at the very least, just have people around you that know that about you and care.
Mm-hmm.
Like when somebody would ask me, like, "Hey, John, I know you were doing comedy shows over the weekend. Like, how did they go?" Wow, you care about John Garrett. You don't care about John Senior Financial Analyst or whatever my job title. Like you care about me as a person. And just knowing what someone's and is, asking them about it, be genuinely interested in it. Every time someone's talking about their and, they're a fully activated human being. They are alive. They are on fire. And when they're talking about work, sometimes, but sometimes not. And so the more that you can create that energy and that karma and just a genuine caring about the people around you, the better it is. And it's infectious. And actually, there was a study done at Johns Hopkins University just about 2 years ago where they found that just 40 seconds of genuine interaction, just 40 seconds, leads to greater sense of belonging, less anxiety. And that's what we all want. And what's 40 seconds? It's, hey, I know you like to motocross. Like, how was it over the weekend? Like, what kind of bike do you use? Like, what makes you do that? Like, how do you, I have all the questions, type of a thing. And then 40 seconds. And it's like, that's awesome. And then just remember that and then ask them about it periodically, type of a thing. And just care about the people around you. And that's why I created like the connected culture system of just how do we bake this in to what we do at work and make it regular.
And maybe you could, because 40 seconds is nothing, especially even in a world that's fast paced. 40 seconds is so. We should challenge people today. Take 40 seconds and talk to a couple, 3 people, and ask them, right?
Yeah.
What they did, or what they're doing next weekend, or where they're going, or something like that.
Yeah, and share something from yourself as well so they know it's not a trap. Like, oh, they're just trying to find something out so they can hold it against me, blah, blah, blah. Because a lot of people have worked for really bad managers and partners. So, share something and then, hey, what lights you up? Just curious, like type of a thing. And then ask about it. What made you get into that? Tell me about the first time, type of a thing. And just remember. And then, you do that once a week, more than once a week. That's great. But then all of a sudden, see what happens, type of a thing. And, if you're like, well, it's March and it's busy season, we don't have that kind of time. Really? Really? Like, you don't have 40 seconds. I mean, maybe you're just not good at your job. Let's just admit it, type of a thing. You got 40 seconds. Trust me. Because if you lose that person, now you definitely don't have time. So, how about you care about them up front and then we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. No, and it's always interesting what you find out. It is. People are so many different interests. And I told John, when we were together, John, I said in the rooms when we went through and we did firm meetup, I would say, everybody talk about their and it was so interesting because then someone could say, oh, you hike? I have a question about that. It's interesting because then you connect on something that's truly unique and meaningful for yourself.
There's actually follow-up questions. At no point, I'm guessing, did anyone say, oh, you do C Corp taxes? I've got a question about C Corp tax. No one had that. Like the follow-up questions were about their and that's the thing. Like, I mean, I fly a lot, speak at a lot of conferences and events. And I used to sit down and somebody next to me, I don't like talking to them because I don't know, they're going to say something dumb and I can't leave because we're in the air. So when I would sit down, they would say, oh, what do you do? And I used to be a comedian and I'm a keynote speaker. And they'd be like, oh, let me tell you my favorite comedian is. I'd say, let me guess, not John Garrett. And they go, you're right, never heard of him. And they go on and on about somebody else. But instead, now when I sit down and they go, what do you do? I say, I'm an accountant. And they put on their noise canceling headphones. Like there's never a question. There's never any, like they don't want to talk. Nothing. And that's the thing is if you lead with the job title, that's not who you are. Mm-hmm. Like in the same way that I'm not this blue shirt, type of a thing. But we think that that's our identifier and that's who we are. And I love Carl Jung's, a lot what Carl Jung does, but one of his quotes in particular is the world will ask you who you are. And if you don't know, the world will tell you. And And sadly, yeah, in this chronically damaged world, we've been spun around so much that we get dizzy that we forget who we are. And then the world says you're a CPA. And then you say, well, I guess I'm a CPA. I'm a CPA. It's, no, no, you're not. You're a human being that does CPA work. Like you're bigger and badder and more multidimensional and more amazing than this. And I'm not belittling CPA at all. I was one, but what I'm saying is it's up here, and also up here needs to be your hobbies and your passions and your interests and you're human. And sadly, the job title's way up here, and the human is in a back closet in the basement in a box that maybe we'll bring it out later when I retire. But even then, I probably won't retire because I got nothing to go jump to because accounting's my only thing. And I'm saying, no, 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 get it out and bring it out to play. It needs to be there. And it's not just a nice to have, which it very much is. It's necessary, and it makes you better at your job.
No, it's so true. I like the dice analogy that you said because, right, it just depends on when you flip it where you're at. And I think a lot of times we just think it's one dimensional. That really resonated with me.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's so crazy to me just, and it's also, if you're sitting there right now and you're thinking, I don't know what my and is, fair. Give yourself grace. Like it served you well to get to where you are right now. I mean, you're listening to this podcast, so you've clearly made it pretty no, but I mean, like in your career, you've gotten far and you've gotten to where you are right now, and give yourself some grace and be like, wow, it served me. But now that you can start to think about what are those things that light me up on a soul level, and really be honest with yourself, because so many people feel like they have to say, I'm passionate about helping my clients save. No, like you can do that, yes, but if they're paying you, so of course you're passionate about it. Like, what are the things that you do for free or you pay money for? Or if I told you, like, if you told me, John, you can never go to another Notre Dame football game again.
Really bad news.
Gah, like yeah, like I'm gonna fight you. Like I'm not going down easy. Like this is gonna be. Actually, I was speaking at a big association, and there was a head of tax for a large regional firm in the southeast, and we do a word cloud of everyone's ands right there live, and I saw hula dancing, and I did not anticipate hula dancing being on a partner retreat word cloud. So I was like, who put that? And she raised her hand. She grew up in Hawaii and likes to hula dance around her house just for fun. And I said, if you could never hula dance again, how would that? And she's like, I would fight you. Like, and I said, well, you would win because you have abs. I mean, you hula dance, right? But I said, if you could never prepare another tax return, how would that? And she said, I'd get over it. And she's the head of tax for this huge regional firm. And so I'm like, all right, like that's just it is, what are the things that light you up on a deeper soul level? I mean, like what are and really truly when you're doing those things, I mean, those are glimpses of your soul coming alive. I mean, just like, wow. And at work, sometimes that happens a little bit, but sometimes it doesn't. And so, if you're struggling with it, just think back to, what did I love to do as a kid? Or what did I love to do in high school or, before I got married or before I had kids or these things? Or go to your spouse or your partner and ask, go to your friends, be like, hey, who am I besides accountant person? They'll tell you. They'll tell you. And, you just have to nurture it a little bit. You don't have to go all in. Like I spoke at a conference over the summer, and it was a small firm practitioners. So, pretty small. And this guy comes up, mid 60s, very sharp dress. Like if Mad Men was today for accountants, like he's sharp dressed. I was like, nice. And he came up, and right when he stepped up to me, eyes started to well up. And he said, I made a lot of money, but so what? And I said, well, what do you love to do? And he said, I love golfing. And he said, I've only played 1.5 rounds this year.
Mm.
And I said, you know what, man? Here's the deal. just grab your 7-iron, go to the driving range, get a small bucket of balls. In the next month, like, you don't have to go play a full round. Just go to the driving range, hit a small bucket. That's it. Like just a little bit of the time, and just remember, oh, I'm a human. Like there's other parts to me that matter. And these aren't distractions. Trust me on this. It makes you better at your job, makes you more successful, allows you to, you create a firm or a culture at your department around this. And all of a sudden you're attracting and retaining talent. You got succession planning. You got consistent client service. Like everything good happens because of this.
Mm-hmm. Do you know something you said? And I do you think that people at times push everything down? And it doesn't mean you have to go golf 5 rounds that week, right? I mean, it could be simple where you just do something that brings you that joy. And maybe sometimes we think we have to do so much of it that we think we can't, instead of saying, oh, I can do this. Is going to take me 20 minutes or half an hour. I can do that.
Right.
And maybe that's part of the angst at times.
Very much so. Or they feel like it has to be a side hustle. It has to bring in money. No. If it's a side hustle, then you're doing it for the money. Like it has to be something that you pay money for. What's the thing that you drag your kids along to because you don't want to pay for a babysitter? Like what's the thing that, because a lot of people, their default answer is, work. There's a work you, and like, don't abandon that. I'm not at all.
Oh, you need money, right, Rick?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, exactly. And get all up in the Cal CPA, get active while we're talking about it. But also, there's a family you, and don't abandon that at all. But there's a you that's just you. When you think about that dice, there's a third side, and that third side is often forgotten about and abandoned. And that's the only thing that matters is you. Like that's the core. That's it. And that's the first thing that we abandon. It's the first thing we leave off when we go to a work function or a networking event with Cal CPA. No one cares. Like, I'm just going to tell like, this is my job, and this is maybe where I went to school, but that's a little creepy. So like, let's just stick with where I work and what I do. But there's a you that's just you. And that matters very much so, because that's the foundation. That you existed before you knew your spouse or partner or anything, that you existed before you knew what accounting was or debits equal credits or any of that. You existed, if you want to get woo-woo, before you had a name. I mean, like this, that's deep. And that's the first thing we abandon. And it's like, no, go back and give that you a hug. Like, bring it along for the ride. Like, let it out to play once in a while. And there's a time and a place. And then there's a time and a place for the work you, and a time and a place for the, home you. But that other you needs to come out more, I promise. And then but you're talking about, I love it how you brought up a handful of people and their ands out of the, gazillions of members of Cal CPA. On the top of your head, bam, 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 bam. And it's the people. Are they the best CPAs in California? Who cares? They like to motocross. They like to this. They're memorable. Like that's who they are. And who is the best anyway? It doesn't matter. That definition is vague and changes every minute. So, just be you, be different. Bring you to the profession instead of letting the profession impact you. That's the thing with accounting that I'm so frustrated with in general, is just, people are willing to cut their heart out and give up themselves for the profession. It's like, really? No, other way around. The profession needs you. Like, the profession doesn't need more shells of human beings pretending to be what they think they're supposed to be. The profession needs human beings that are good at accounting and also awesome at other things too.
Yeah, it is that community, right? And what makes it the most rich is the uniqueness. And everyone should think of the dice, because that does allow you to be all these different yous that you need, right?
Yeah, and there's numbers on the dice, so it's fun for accountants. So there you go.
I like that. I like it. So maybe we can talk, because I know you mentioned this, and when we talked, you did too, the connected culture system, because at times it's very difficult for in organizations, in firms, really to make sure that you bring this piece to life. So tell us more how you can do it without adding on to, oh, this is what I do, and now I have a plus one thing to do or plus two.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's kind of for some organizations, it's almost like I'm an outsourced chief culture officer kind of role, but it's really coming in and co-creating with organizations of like, what do you want this place to be? Like, have we really thought through this and looked through the lens of the new hire or the through the staff as opposed to through the partner lens or the CFO lens or like really look through the lens of someone coming in and doing an employee journey map and looking at before I've even heard of this firm or organization through recruiting, through onboarding, through the employee experience and even exit. Like what are those experiences and what are those thoughts and feelings and emotions that people have through this journey? And how can we get ahead of that and create these micro moments that really make us stand out? And it's so cool to see, the ideas that come up from, the culture committee internally, as opposed to me coming in as a consultant and telling you what to do. Because then if anyone did that to me when I worked in corporate, I turned it into a 5-year-old. And the thing I did not do was the exact thing you said we had to do. I promise. But if you let us be a part of it, then yeah, we're going to do it more, type of a thing. And so it's just really, just looking at it through the employee's eyes and, thinking through it that way. And then all of a sudden you start to see like, oh, wow, this is pretty cool, or maybe it's during, here's some thoughts, during your annual goals or, annual review process, ask everybody 2 questions. First one is, what would you love to do more of here at work? And how can I help you do more of that? And the second question is, what would you love to do more of outside of work? And how can I help you do more of that? So for instance, I want to go on, 2 ski trips this year. Okay, cool. Let's get the calendar out. Let's make sure you're doing it. Because if you have somebody that works for you that loves skiing and hasn't gone skiing in 12 years, well, I promise you, they're not going to be doing their best work. But if you make sure that someone does their 2 ski trips and they come back and tell you about it and share some pictures and get the group together and share about it, because that's the also important part is the boomerang back to tell us about it, then I promise that person's going to think really hard before they leave. Because they're going to go on an interview and they're going to ask, like, so do they ask you about what you love to do outside of work? Are they going to help make sure that there's time for me to go skiing? And then that other place is just going to laugh and say you're crazy. And then they're going to come right back and work for you, and they're going to stay longer. They're going to be more engaged. Everyone around it's going to be, I mean, when you see somebody talk about skiing, whether you like it or not, they're alive. They're fully activated. And, that's infectious. Like you want to see that. You want to be around that energy. So just little things like that matter, or change in your email signature, just add, when I'm not, balancing spreadsheets, I'm, going to a concert or something, or, maybe a specific band or whatever. And if somebody sees it in your email signature, great. And if somebody doesn't see it, also great. But I promise you, no one's going to not choose you because, oh, wow, they like to go to Blink-182 concerts. Oh, yeah, there's no way I'm using them for probably what's going to happen is someone's going to go, I love Blink-182. You're my accountant forever, type of a thing. And, it's just all those little things of just little glimpses, of the human.
I'd seen that more and more. Matt Martin, who was our chair, when he would do his out of office, he would say,
yeah,
listen, I'm on a beach and I'm enjoying myself and I went back and
yeah,
but people love that. And when you think about it, when you get something like that, kind of makes you smile and think, oh, good for that person, or that's pretty awesome. So
yeah. And the next time I talk to Matt, I'm like, what beach? Where were you? Let's see some pictures, and then Matt's excited because he's like, wow, you care about me. That's cool as a human, as opposed to just me as, my job type of thing.
So have you seen this successful? Because I think there's a number of firms I talk to who are changing the culture and they are having more time for individuals to do what they need to do. They're creating more opportunities for them to connect. Even we see it more on the community side. So are you feeling that? And what has made you hopeful?
Yeah. I think what's made me hopeful is when I speak and people come up after and just feel unlocked and they feel validated, and it's a deeper, bigger thing, and it's a collective movement. It's not just one-offs, it's not just me. It's on a deeper human level and your soul level. Like, you can't unhear this. And the organizations that I've worked with, like there's one in North Carolina, they went from a 4 office firm, they're now a 10 office firm. They had always applied for these best places to work awards, never got it, never got it. Then I came in and worked with them, and the managing partner's like, now we're getting them. Now we're getting this. Like, this is where there's another huge, more in the investment banking space firm. They actually had to let go of one of their recruiters because people weren't leaving like they used to, in a good way, not in a, oh, these are a bunch of C players, I wish they would move on. It was all the A's and B's were staying. They weren't leaving. There wasn't the turnover that there used to be. So the recruiter who actually loves What's Your Hand and the work I do, she's like, I know I'll end up somewhere great, but I just want you to know I got laid off because of you, and this is great. Like, but that's awesome, because now you have places where humans are seen as opposed to shunned, and we're more than the work. And this is also a pretty agnostic message. I do a lot outside of accounting. I've done school districts, I've done, of course, insurance and banking and engineering and tech and IT and all that space as well. But I mean, it's pretty agnostic. And even stay-at-home parents that read the book emailed, and I never even thought of this, but they were like, when my kid went away to college, all of a sudden I lost my identity. I didn't know who I was. And so it's the same thing with professionals. And so, definitely it's a message that matters and is real. It's not Harvard case study make believe. It's very simple but not easy to implement. But just take a step back. Maybe create a charge code that is for getting to know each other. Why not? You got some ridiculous charge codes up in there anyway. So, actually make it a thing where we actually get to know each other, because why not?
I like that. So there's a lot of good takeaways here.
Well, I try. Thanks.
I like it. And we're getting close to our time, and I want one final takeaway from you. Like, the top 3 things leaders could do if they're thinking, okay, like, I love this. What's your hand? I want to get on board with this. What are the top, and I liked your questions too. What are the top 3 things I could do to have a thriving people-centric culture?
Yeah, I think, of course, self-serving. Buy the book, email me, like type of thing. But listen to the podcast. No, but honestly, really, what it is just think about, what is it that you want to leave as your legacy on a deeper level. Like, just hit pause and be like, what am I doing here? Like, what do I want to leave as my legacy? And what's the difference that I want to make in the world and in the people around me? And some people listening are like, I don't want a legacy. I just want to hammer everybody out and milk them for all they're worth and get all my money and sell to whatever and then be done and go wherever. But on a deeper level, I think a lot of people don't think that that's their answer. And, just think that through and then take baby steps to just create the place that you would want it to be, and invite people that are at levels below you that you think will be the new leadership to be part of that conversation, to create the future that they will then take over. But start creating it now. They don't have to wait till they become the managing partner to make it that. You can start now and really think about just, and ask the people around you, like, what can we do better here? Do stay interviews. Like, literally, why are you still here?
Those are good to do. Those are
they're so good. Like, what is it that we do well that we should do more of? And what is it that we don't do so well that we should probably look at? That's super, super important. Also, too, another question you should ask people is, what's your dream job? Because I promise you that a lot of them, the answer is not become a partner at this firm. The answer could be become a CFO at a manufacturing client, or become a controller at, the Los Angeles Lakers, or, who knows what their answer is. But what's your dream job? And if you don't know, that's cool. We'll figure it out together over time. But if you do know, let me know, because I want to help you get there.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many people want to control, and I got to keep you here. And, but they're miserable people that you're keeping. Like that doesn't help you. They're not working their best. So for the sake of the world and the vibration of the universe, let them go and flourish and do the thing that lights them up and why they're here on earth. Let them go. Like, imagine if the partner at PwC was like, no, you can't do comedy. You can't even do open mics. You got to be here 24/7. You got to be working all the time. Then, man, I couldn't be here talking to you. We wouldn't have never met. And so, like, just find out what is their dream job and help them get there, because what's going to happen is they're going to accidentally stay longer because they know that you care about them and you're developing them and their skill sets to become a CFO. And you're introducing them to CFOs. You're setting up lunches for them so that then they can know what a CFO does and the inner workings. And then eventually they get the interview to become a CFO, and they nail it because you've helped them get there. And then they come to you and they're like, hey, I got the job. I'm going to be leaving. And you're like, I knew that all along because I helped you get there. And now all of a sudden it's not I had no idea. You've already hired someone. They can train the new person. There's zero dip in productivity. And that person goes off, becomes a CFO. And when they're looking for services, the first firm they're going to come back to is the one that loved them.
Mm-hmm.
And yet this profession for so long is, oh, you're leaving? That's it. Go now. Access denied to everything. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, that's a terrible, they trip you on the way out. And it's like, no, that's not it. And when they do leave, if they left and you weren't ready for it or you didn't want it, how about on their first day that morning, you send them a text that says, they're lucky to have you. I know you're going to kill it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine that new place? If they slip up even a little bit, the amount of doubt in that person's brain of, oh, maybe I should have stayed. Like, oh, but also but create the place where you don't even have to get to that. Create that and blow it up. Like, just because you're an accounting firm doesn't mean you have to act like one. So don't. I mean, just don't. Oh, our color's light blue instead of dark blue, instead of royal blue, instead of blue. Like, it's like, just stop. Like, just make it what you want it to be, and be ethical and do the work. But it doesn't mean that you have to be what you think you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a number of firms and organizations that have leaned into that. And it's great to see. We need to do a better job of getting that out there, of really what they've created. And to your point, it's a bigger world. It's about, your organization, but it's about the connections throughout the world and what you can do for that person. So I'm glad you said state interviews. I totally forgot about doing those. And so I appreciate that. And asking people their dream job. That's kind of cool too.
Yeah. I mean, like, why not? I mean, that way then you're not, sideswiped out of nowhere of like, what? I thought you were going to be a partner. And if somebody does want to be a partner and you think that they're partner material or leadership material of some sort, tell them.
Right.
Paint the picture for them so they see how they fit in your mind and in your picture. And it's like, well, I told them last year at the annual review, no. Tell them every quarter, tell them every month, tell them like however many times you think is not creepy. Because there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of inner self-doubt in that person. And so reassure them, like build them up and give them the skills and make them feel like they're needed and wanted and valued as a human, not just valued as a worker.
Mm-hmm. Well, this has been, you and I could talk for a long time.
Right? Totally.
It's been just so many good takeaways. And I hope our audience too had their pen or pencil or stylus ready so that they could take notes. Think about your and it is compelling, and think about the dice too, because I think that's a great visual to make sure you're bringing everything you are every day.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Denise. This has been so much fun and I appreciate it and all the work that you're doing as well. So thank you.
And buy the book, What's Your And? John Garrett. There you go. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Rise and Stride is produced by the California Society of Certified Public Accountants. To learn more, visit calcpa.org.